We take it for granted. We take the crucifix for granted, the same way that we have taken so many things for granted up until now, like school and dinner with friends and family and donut Sundays, like gathering together for Mass. Today, Good Friday, we are called to consider the cross, or we are called to consider the crucifix. Do you know why Catholics use the crucifix and not just the cross? It's because we don't shy away from Jesus' suffering. Admittedly, we sanitize it. Jesus, in reality, would have appeared more beaten and bloody than the representation you see before you, but by using the crucifix, we allow ourselves to be drawn into his suffering, into Jesus' suffering, especially now. Bishop Hying reminded us in his Palm Sunday homily that Jesus was isolated and alone when he was imprisoned. He reminded us that death on the cross was death by suffocation. Right now, in this time of COVID-19, we're all struggling with isolation. And we hear stories of how the illness often progresses and affects people's ability to breathe. The crucifix draws us into the reality that Jesus chose to suffer, so that when we suffer isolation and pain or betrayal, or when we feel alone and abandoned, Jesus knows what that feels like. He loves us so much that he went through it all so that we can turn to him and trust in his love and understanding when we feel isolated, when we suffer. And Mary of Nazareth, Mary Magdalene, and the Apostle John drew near. They stood by and bore witness in love to his pain and death, so that when we watch others struggle, we can remember that Jesus' mother and his friends grieved and struggled too. And we can draw strength from that. But remember, friends, we know the cross isn't the last word. We are, after all, Easter people, and not just Good Friday people. We know what lies beyond the cross. We know what lies beyond the grave. We don't shy away from the cross, but likewise, we know this isn't all there is. Have you ever thought about the fact that every one of our opening processions at Mass in church is led by the crucifix? I love Bishop Barron's reflection on this reality. He says, yes, we begin with the crucifix. Our gathering procession follows this reminder of suffering and death. Crucifixion was the most painful and humiliating way the Romans could think of to kill someone that they considered a criminal. And this is what leads us at Mass. Why? It's as if to say, we see it, we get it. This is the worst that the world has. This is the worst thing the world can do. And our Savior, our friend, our Redeemer, he took this. He suffered it out of his love for you and for me. He died. And then he rose. My friends in faith, we follow the crucifix because we know how the story really ends. We know how the story of Jesus' cross ends. It ends with an empty tomb. So today, consider the crucifix. Consider the cross. Know that Jesus knows the cross you bear. He wants to help you carry it. Let his love, the love that led him to the cross, let that love help you carry your cross. Remember that in this time of isolation and fear and suffering, you are not alone. Remember that you and I know how the story ends.